Hello everyone, my name is Mr. M. Today we're going to learn how to compare transformations on linear and quadratic functions. Go ahead and complete the intro activity. Be sure to pause your video while you're doing it. Come back once you're done to check your answers. Now let's go over with it. It says if m is a real number and m is greater than 1, give a value for m. So when we say greater than 1, that means it's higher than 1. So it could be 1.1, 1.002, whatever. So 1.1, 1.002, it could be 2, it could be positive 207, right? So any number greater than 1. Now number 2, it says if b is a real number and b is less than 0, give a value for b. So this time, it's less than what? Less than 0. So that means any number that is a negative. So let's say negative 5, negative 6.7, it could be negative 0.5, right? Any number less than 0 is a negative number. Now, number 3, if a is a real number and a is greater than 0 but less than 1, or 0 is less than a is less than 1, give a value for a. So what does this compound inequality mean? So a is between 0 and 1. So $0 and $1. Any numbers that you think in between is the value of a. So it could be a quarter or 0.25, or it could be 1/4 in fraction, right? It could also be, let's take 0.5 or 50 cents, that's 1/2. Or it could be 0.75, 3/4, which is the same as, now let me put equal sign, right? 3/4. Right? Any fraction, but as long as it's not negative. Less than 1, but not negative. And not 0. So 0 and 1 are not included in this inequality. Got it? Today we have 2 keywords. One is transformation. Transformation is a process of doing some changes in any given shape on a plane. So what are the 4 transformations that you know? So I describe it. The 4 transformations are 1, translation, rotation, reflection, and dilation. So we have 4. So translation means you slide a figure. So when you rotate, you turn the picture or the shape. How about reflection? You flip the shape, all right? And dilation means you resize. So it could be bigger or smaller, narrower or wider. So that's dilation. Okay? So the second keyword is parent graph, is the base graph, meaning that is your basis, that's your point of comparison. Okay? Now, task 1 says, use DESMOS to generate graphs of linear functions with the given parameters. These are the parameters. Okay? Then identify the transformation in each graph by comparing it to the parent graph of a linear function, y equals mx plus b. If you remember, this is the generic form of linear function. But since we have a parameter here, we need to change the value of m or b or both. It depends on the given parameter. Now let's have a DESMOS. So our parent graph is m is equal to 1, b is equal to 0. So guys, when you open a DESMOS, and click that 3 lines there on the upper left corner, you will see examples. And what I want you to do is to click that line, slope-intercept form. And then they have a default. Open that graph. This is the default graph of a linear function. If you notice, it says y equals mx plus b, and you have sliders for m and b, right? Now, again, going back to our parameter, m is equal to 1, b is equal to 0, and that is called parent graph. So m is equal to 1 right now, so we're good with the first parameter. The second parameter says b is equal to 0, right? So we need to change that to 0. Let's change that to 0. There you have it. Now the graph that you see is the parent graph of a linear function. Let's click that wrench to make it thicker. There you go. Now, so that is the parent graph. Let's have the first model problem. It says m is greater than 1 and b is equal to 0. So we are going to keep b, the value of b, which is 0, but we are going to change the value of m greater than 1. What does it mean? Take a look. Greater than 1, meaning I'm going to move this slider towards 10. If I move that, if you notice the number here is changing. Right? So if I move that, you see how it changes? Let me go back to 1. Now take a look on the graph. If I move towards 10, what happened to the graph? So one more time, if I move this slider towards 10, positive 10, that means m is getting bigger than 1, right? So what do you notice about the graph? What transformation is that? If you said it's rotating, you are correct. So it rotates, but which direction? It rotates this way, so it rotates counterclockwise. Got it? Now it's your turn to practice. Go ahead and complete number 5. M is equal to 1, B is less than 0. Using DESMOS, come back once you're done to check your answer. Welcome back. Our parameter again is M is equal to 1, B is less than 0. So M is equal to 1, B right now is 0, but less than 0 is negative, right? They are negative numbers. Let's observe. So I'm going to slide this slider towards negative 10. Alright? So take a look what happened to the graph. What do you notice? Did it rotate? No? So let's do it one more time. So when we move the slider towards the negative 10, the graph translates down. Did you see that? So let's write down translates down. There you have it. Now let's have the second task. It says use DESMOS to generate graphs of quadratic functions with the given parameters. So again, these are the parameters. Identify the transformation in each graph by comparing it to the parent graph of a quadratic function y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. So we all know that this is the generic formula for quadratic function, right? But the parent graph has parameters of a is equal to 1, b is equal to 0, and c equal to 0. Let's have a DESMOS. So what I want you to do is to click that again and go to parabolas, standard form. Click that and you have a default. Now notice the default is a is equal to 1, b is equal to 0, c is equal to 1. We need to change this to 0 to show the parent graph. This is the parent graph. Okay? So that's how it looks like. Now let's do number 2. It says A is greater than 1, meaning more than 1, B is equal to 0, and C is equal to 0. What I want you to do is to observe, again, A should be greater than 1. So meaning we are going to slide this slider towards positive 10, and I want you to observe what happened on the parent graph or parent parabola. Take a look. What do you notice? Let's do it one more time. Right. Did you notice that the graph or the parabola is getting narrower? Right? But it's still, the direction is still going up. So what kind of transformation? It's narrower. It's narrower compared to the parent graph. Now it's your turn to practice. Go ahead and complete number 8. A is equal to 1, B is equal to 0, and C is greater than 0. So those are the parameters of the new parabola. Be sure to pause your video while you're doing it. Come back to check your answer when you're done. Welcome back. Let's see what happened to this parent parabola as we change the parameters. So we know the requirement is A is equal to 1, B is equal to 0, and C is greater than 0. Meaning we are going to slide this towards positive 10. And I want you to observe what happened there. So what do you notice? Let's do it one more time. From here, we slide up to positive 10, and so the graph, the parabola, translates up, right? There you have it. Now what I want you to do is to complete the 2 charts. Be sure to pause your video while you're doing it. Come back once you're done. Thank you for watching and learning with me. Be sure to click the links below inside the description box for additional resources so that you can practice and learn more. Please take care of yourself and each other.